Hi everyone, and welcome to DnD Horror Stories with DnD Doge. In today's video, we have a story about a dungeon master that sends his players his 44 rules for D&D, which has some rules ranging from understandable to outright outrageous. Then, we have a story about how a dungeon master rage quits a game, all because of a same-sex kiss. Though, before we get into those, I think we're going to need to meditate with Simba to help boost our protection against the cringe that these stories contain. There we go. Now I think we are ready for some D&D horror stories. So, my dungeon master made the 44 rules of Dungeons & Dragons by Reddit user Kargoth. My dungeon master put this in chat after a hiatus. Enjoy. I'll just put this crap out now. That's going to change before anyone goes through with anything. 1. I'm timing turns. I don't give an F if it's unfair in your opinion, because your spells are hard or you don't know what square to move to. You get 1 minute to know all the actions you want to take, or I will skip your turn. Dang, pretty harsh right out the gate. I can understand it can be annoying when someone takes too long to take their turn in combat, but 1 minute or your turn is skipped is a bit much. 2. If you want harder fights, bring a second character sheet and expect to twiddle your thumbs when you die. I'm not going to baby anyone. 3. If you call me or my role is unfair, I'll get up and go home. And if you gotta ride with me, you can find your own way back and suck it up. 4. I'm going to take your character's loot away as regularly as you want it given out. Rule 3 will apply here. 5. If you don't act out any of your persuasion or intimidation or any other social checks, you fail before you even roll. You fail immediately because you aren't even trying, and you're making the game lame for everyone else. Again, that is pretty harsh. Some people just aren't that good or comfortable role-playing in character when they do this type of thing, and that's alright. Not everyone plays like they're on Critical Role. 6. If you don't pick up cues for side quests, that's not my problem. Get over yourself. It's not a video game. It's a role-playing pen and paper-based game with miniatures. I'm not holding your hand if you choose not to pursue crap. What does that even mean? If something is meant to be a side quest of sorts, and the players are not picking up on the fact that it's a side quest, then perhaps the dungeon master isn't conveying it that well. It is okay to metagame and tell your players that something is a side quest if need be. Something along the lines of, you feel like there's something up with so-and-so character, as a way to lead the players where you want them to go. 7. If you move to a square in combat, there's no takebacks. 8. You tell every single person what you're doing before you do it. You don't effing roll dice and then say that you're casting Fireball. You tell us all. You know what? Out of all of these so far, this one isn't that bad of a rule. 9. I will give out exhaustion more frequently. If you argue, go home, or you can actually fight me over it, or you can dungeon master yourself. Wow, someone is puffing up their feathers, huh? 10. Every snide comment you make to an NPC will be remembered and paid back in triplicate. You all seem to believe that there is little consequences. 11. You will not be given a mega dungeon every session. A temple is not the size of a small city. Neither is a cave. This crap will happen when it's natural and organic. Go play some roguelike if you want that. Again, not that bad of a rule, if given without so much aggression. Not every session has to be a dungeon crawl. And as for the roguelike, not sponsored, but the Rogue Prince of Persia is actually pretty decent. It is in early access, so there are some issues. But if you like the new Prince of Persia game, and you like Dead Cells, I'd say give it a go. Wow, I really ADD'd away from this list, huh? Let's get back to it. 12. The travel portion is done. You want to travel continents, doing literally whatever you want, whenever you want? Go play World of Warcraft, or play D&D with ChatGPT. At this point, that might be the better option. ChatGPT would be less aggro. 13. If you are late with no good reason, I'm going to have your character's hit points for the entire session. 14. If you don't show up for no good reason, and that will be determined by me alone if no one else has the guts to say crap for fear of upsetting one another. The first time, you'll find yourself losing either a whole level or up to 3 major items of your own. The second time you do it in a row, you will be removed from the chat and the group full stop. I have no effing time for people to not show up. Again, not something outlandish to have an issue with. People just straight up not showing up to a game with no warning or reason why is something that isn't cool to do. 15. If you get too stoned or drunk to play, I will go home without a warning. Your warning is here. Again, not that unreasonable. 16. If you get up for bong, smoke, or whatever breaks every 10 minutes, I will simply pack up and go home. I'm sick of waiting for every bloke to be at the table. 17. Guidance, divination spells, owls, and whatever spells I decide are too effing stupid are banned outright. No more effing guidance. 18. You get one chance at a skill check. If you F up, your party doesn't get their chance to do the same check. Think carefully who's good at what. 19. Discussion of metagame details in-game will result in instant damage to your character. This one is kind of harsh. No one likes metagaming, but reminding other players of stuff that they might not remember, and talking a bit of strategy above table isn't that uncommon. To damage a player's character for that would be metagaming in and of itself. 20. Wow, we aren't even halfway through yet. Rules lawyering fellow players is encouraged. Actually-ing me will just result in me telling you to F off. 21. You roll your dice within view of 2 players who aren't your standard. You roll them neatly, and you roll them on the table. Failing to do these 3 things will auto-fail whatever roll you did. Arguing that you actually rolled validly when you clearly didn't is an automatic critical fail. Something tells me that this dungeon master has dealt with cheaters before. I'm starting to wonder what this party did to make the DM make this list. 22. Instant death traps and mechanics are coming into place. If you call these things unfair moving forward, I will laugh at you and tell you to F off and cry some more. 23. I will not give you random magical items, and vendors will not stock them. They are meant to be rare and hard to acquire. 24. Random encounters in the form of random dragons, or strange mysterious road traders, or a band of goblin prostitutes isn't going to happen. Go play Baldur's Gate 3. At this point, that is starting to sound like that would be the better option. 25. I don't give 2 Fs about what Reddit said about X or Y ruling. 26. I actually give less of an F about what your mate's D&D group did. 27. Saying anything to me about other players not liking me doing X or Y without them saying it directly to me will result in me kicking you out of the group. Don't use someone else to push your own agenda. 28. You're not to sit down and have a 2-hour discussion about what Samson from Bundora Secondary did 3 weeks ago when you come to play. Take the 15 to 20 minutes I used to set up and review my notes to talk to each other, then sit down to play. This one seems oddly specific. 29. Saying crap like, "Guys, come on, we're not here to have fun, we're here to play D&D, this is serious business," is rude and dismissive of how much work I put into this. I will simply go home if I hear this crap. Pot, meat, kettle? 30. Don't effing order food randomly. We will eat together at a specific time, or not at all. I don't want food crap all over my things. 31. No foods or drinks near any of my D&D gear. If you wreck something, you can pay for it. I let one person trash my DM screen once, and I never had it replaced by them. In fact, I had that person attempt to gaslight me into believing that they didn't wreck my crap at all. I am not stupid. You're an adult. Accept responsibility. 32. Arguments between party members outside of roleplay will be resolved by me giving the definite ruling. If you don't like it, F off back home. Seriously, why is there so much aggression here? 33. I don't give an F what they did in Critical Role, or what the one guy on Reddit said, or if you think that it's all make-believe, so you can do whatever you want. The world I run works on internal rulings and lore I created specifically for it. 34. Every single person in this chat is having debuffs applied to their characters that should have occurred a long time ago. This will be specific to characters. 35. If you don't bring your sheet, you don't play. 36. If you don't bring dice, borrow some. 37. When we play D&D, I am not your friend. That doesn't mean you treat me like an enemy during the game. It just means that I'm no longer, quote, being nice. And this is you being nice? 38. If you treat me poorly in any way, shape, or form, after, during, or before the game, due to something that happened in game, you're out. If you cannot separate a game from reality, I think you're an effing moron, and I have little time to deal with that energy. 39. You will submit your spell list daily in-game. If you do not give me a spell list for each in-game day, you will not be allowed to cast a single spell or cantrip in combat. I do not trust you guys to not use this against me. 40. If you do not mark off spell slots, or you say something like, "I remember where I'm at," as a way to justify it, I will simply fail your spell, deal half your health and damage to you, and say you have no spells to cast for the rest of the day. 41. If you break literally anything, you can buy the replacement that day, or not attend until you do. 42. If you complain about the choice of music, I fully expect you to bring a whole playlist the next session, or to shut the F up. Again, oddly specific. 43. Cannot stress enough how little I care about how you feel about my rulings from now on. Oh, and Rule 44. I'm never just threatening you. I'm promising you. And it ends like that, with more puffing of the chest. Either this dungeon master has a nightmare party, or they are way too stressed of a person to be a dungeon master. A lot of those rules are pretty strict for that to be an actual fun game of Dungeons and Dragons, in my opinion. Though, like I said earlier, some of those rules are completely acceptable, like making sure the dice are rolled in view of other players, not having food around the DM's things, and letting the DM know if you can't make a session. But this dungeon master just had to write them in the most antagonizing way possible, with the rage of 1,000 suns. I knew for sure if I received a list like this, with this much aggression that I would definitely not be playing in that game. Though, what are your thoughts on this list? As there is a lot in there to talk about. Be sure to discuss in the comments. But with that one done, let's move on to the next post. I joined a public campaign as a player, but ended up being a dungeon master. By Reddit user GloomyHomework7153. Our heroes. Me, originally playing as a rogue, ending up as a game master. Dungeon master, experienced DM, rules lawyer, jerk, also a homophobe, apparently. Sorcerer, DM's friend, let's call him Bob or whatever. The casus belli. Barbarian, the most experienced player at the table, the party's parent. Goblin, our cleric, the bringer of chaos. The ranger/bard, originally played as a ranger, but decided to change character. So the story starts from the moment when I got informed that my original D&D party would not attend our usual Saturday game night for the next 2 weeks due to the scheduling changes. Unfortunately, since I lost my job recently, I had too much free time and wanted to play D&D desperately. So I went to Roll20 and found myself a perfect game. 2 weeks, a few planned sessions, an experienced master, and new players are welcome. I texted the DM, made a sheet, and talked to the other party members, and prepared myself overall. The day comes, I hop on Discord and join the call. Everybody's there almost in time. The Dungeon Master is ready, we're excited, and the game starts. An hour passes, and we're having a blast. The campaign is homebrew about an organization of professional thieves set somewhere in Faerun. We're doing our first heist. The barbarian gets hurt a bit too much, so the goblin steps up and says, "I spit in my palm, touch barbarian, and cast Cure Wounds." The Dungeon Master laughs and responds with, "Yeah, sure. Due to the magical properties of your goblin saliva, your healing spell restores 5 extra hit points." We laugh, and suddenly our sorcerer says, "Yo, I'm badly wounded too. Give me that magical saliva right now, you bastard." And then he turns to the Dungeon Master and says to him, "I lean down and kiss the goblin." Goblin immediately goes with it and responds, "I kiss him back passionately." At this point, the whole party laughs their asses off. However, the Dungeon Master stays silent, and when we calm down, he says, DM to Sorcerer, "Bob, WTF do you think you are doing?" Sorcerer, "Kissing a goblin?" Dungeon Master, "No, you're messing with me. What did I say about all that gay BS?" Sorcerer, getting sad, "It was just a joke. Why do you have to make a scene?" Goblin to Dungeon Master, "Chill, dude. It's just a kiss. What's your problem?" Dungeon Master kicks Sorcerer out to the private channel and goes there as well. We just sit in the call in awkward silence and wait. 5 minutes later, we see that Sorcerer was banned by a server admin. Dungeon Master comes back and says, "Sorry folks, I'm not gonna continue the campaign. Thank this a-hole for that if you want. Anyway, whatever. Bye guys." Then he immediately disconnects. Yet again, we sit there in awkward silence. I'm desperate at this point. I want to play D&D, and I want to play now. Goblin, "Wow, it started out as a kiss. How did it end up like this?" "It was only a kiss. It was only a kiss." Sorry, I like Mr. Brightside. Barbarian, "Yeah, what an asshole, huh? Anyway, what do we do?" Me, gathering as much courage as possible. I have my own homebrew campaign. I can be your DM. Goblin, "You know what? I'm in. Do I have to make a new character?" Barbarian.
Yo, can I stay with this character, but with a different subclass?
Ranger. I have a different sheet. Can I use that? About an hour passes. We make some minor adjustments, and I introduce them to the world. Pretty much a sandbox fantasy with some D&D races and custom lore. The plot is not even that relevant. We start playing, and I'm feeling pretty confident about myself. Now, I'm not that experienced at D&D in general. I started playing after Baldur's Gate 3 came out, and I implemented some of Baldur's Gate 3's rules into my game. Also, I don't remember the player's handbook and master's guide to the letter, so sometimes I just improvise in some situations instead of following an already existing rule. This will be relevant soon. Despite that fact, players seem to enjoy the game so far. We were having a bar fight when suddenly our dungeon master came back.
Now I'm falling asleep and she's calling a cab.
Sorry, it still got me. DM.
Hey guys, what are you doing here? I thought you left an hour ago.
Goblin. We wanted to play, I guess. DM.
Oh, great. I just cooled down a bit and thought that I might bring you guys back. So, since Sorcerer left, you're going to be level 4 now. Please, remind me where we left off.
Barbarian. You left off when your boyfriend kissed a damn goblin in a role-playing game, and we left off your campaign after that. Rogue is already DMing for us right now. DM.
Alright, jeez, I get it. I effed up. May I just sit there and listen then?
Goblin. Only if you won't boil up if someone kisses me again. DM.
Pinky promise.
So we continue our fight. There's a puddle of beer on the tavern floor, and I describe it as difficult terrain due to the fact that the floor is slippery.
DM. That's not how that works. Haven't you read the manual?
We don't pay attention and continue playing. Goblin is wounded and wants to drink a potion of healing as a bonus action, which is allowed due to my implements from Baldur's Gate 3. Honestly, that is a pretty standard house rule. Heck, my group uses taking a healing potion as a bonus action, but it is an action to give it to someone else. Me. Sure, go ahead. You restore 2 more due to your Disciple of Life feature. DM.
That's just ridiculous. You can't drink potions as a bonus action, and Disciple of Life doesn't even work that way.
Bard. Dude, we get that you know the rules well. Now, can we play our game, please? DM laughs and leaves the call. Just at the moment when I start narrating again, we are getting banned from the server, one by one. An admin sends me a message that we've been reported by our dungeon master for violating the server rules. Moral of the story? Public games and homophobia are bad, I guess. Luckily, we managed to get the party back and end the session properly. We even planned our next session and invited back the sorcerer. I'm not sure where this game is going to get to. Also, I didn't want to be a dungeon master again, yet here we are. Seems like I've accidentally attuned to a cursed DM table that makes you forever DM, but for me, it's definitely better than no D&D at all. That dungeon master certainly had some homophobia going on there. If a joke kiss to heal a player was enough to make him leave the game in a huff. Luckily, OP was there to pick it up and still have a good time with the other players. But then, when the dungeon master came back and saw that OP was running a fun game for the players that he abandoned, I think he just wanted to watch in order to bust OP's balls about how he was running the game, and had the full intention of getting them all booted. Luckily, they were able to gather again and finish what is likely going to be a multi-part game. Also, now I have Mr. Brightside stuck in my head. And now, so do you. so there is that. But that is all I have for you today. As always, I appreciate all of you, especially if you like, comment, and subscribe. And may your games remain horror story free. Until next time.